when the song is nice,
I know, right?
You can't sit.
So let me ask this question. Is anything difficult for your God?
No. At least not the God that I serve. Certainly not. Nothing is impossible for my God. But of course, it's January 9th. Beautiful morning here on TV. You can see Johnny still dancing. But of course, certainly nothing is difficult for your God. So of course, if you trust in him, you just have to have the faith that whatever you commit into his hands, he's going to do it for you, because of course he cares about you. He says even the fathers of the earth, they know how to give good things. How much more your heavenly Father? He certainly plans to give you great things, and it's a good year to believe that, because 2018 is a year where God will provide and certainly give you whatever your heart so desires. Certainly. Guys, good morning.
Welcome. It's Tuesday. We're happy to be here. Today, the kids are going back to school.
They are.
Yeah, so,
school fees week.
Yeah, school fees. Happy.
So children are happy, parents are not.
Yeah.
Not.
But we want to take the opportunity to tell all the teachers to, wholeheartedly teach the children, because what you give them is what they will pick up. And if we want Ghana to improve and be a better country and to be able to compete in the League of Nations, we need to teach our children well, especially those in their formative years, those in the nursery, kindergarten, primary school or basic school. This is the time to give them your best, and trust you, they will remember you one day. I always mention Mr. Richard Amamu. He taught me in class 2, class 4, and class 6. Taught me how to string my first set of sentences together. And anywhere I meet him,
is he alive?
Yes, he's very much alive. And any and everywhere I meet him, I acknowledge him. I mean, I've had opportunity to MC big weddings where he was there, and I mentioned that everybody tends to look at him and I'm like, wow. He came to hug me and shed a few tears himself. So
I can imagine.
Give them your best. One day, the reward is not in heaven, it's here. You will get it. One day we'll get it. We'll get it.
Let me take advantage of this and say thank you to all my teachers, especially Alcid Academy, because those, and Fanida International School, certainly, because you people gave us the opportunity, the platform to become who we are. Certainly, some teachers out there encouraged us. And I used to remember one of my teachers, even at that time, he used to come all the way from in Sawam. That's Mr. Ini Mante, and he was my class 1 teacher. And boy, oh boy, we all loved him. Thank you so much, Mr. Ini Mante, and all the teachers who made us who we
George,
are.
So that's the Dadabi school. Did you also go to the Dadabi school?
I went to the
I went to a typical scientific school. So
please,
yeah,
let's not do that.
But we're here together.
Exactly. So it's just about the child and the formative years, what the teachers give. Because certainly, no, Johnny, that's a good point, because whether Saito or international or whatever, your teachers did well. And that's how come we're all the same.
For me, I
level.
think the foundation is what matters.
Exactly.
If you get a good foundation and you end up at Saito, you can do well.
I don't believe in the theory that, well, because the person is in a public school, it must be subservient to. I mean, back in the day, we used to compete with the St. Teresa's and all the other schools in debates and quizzes. And guess what? We trumped them back in the day. So anybody around your Kakwe school knew that Kanisha Anglican JSS, Awudome JSS, we know they play. These days, the standards are falling, and I don't know. We need to start looking at these things. Good morning to you, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, Minister for Education. The children are going back to school. They don't have free JSS, but at least the quality should improve. Okay.
Yeah. I think the incentives when it comes to public schools may also be an issue, because you realized over time what happened where the teachers moved from these public schools to the international or say private schools, and so the quality of what they were teaching in the public schools went down. So maybe the incentives should be improved. They should be giving better terms or in conditions of work, and maybe certainly those.
And I don't also believe that, look, if people have gone to school to be formed or trained as teachers and you keep them at home for 4 or 5 years, what really are you? I mean, by the time they get back into their groove, they may be rusty. So somebody goes to a college of education the next year, make sure the person, because we have deficiencies in there. There are classrooms that have no teachers. There are schools that have, a whole stream from basic to JSS that have only 3 teachers.
The ratio is abysmal.
One is a headmaster. And so the teachers are there. Employ them, give them clearance, employ them, let them go out there and teach, because we have put our money in them. We have invested our money in them so that they will be able to teach these children. I mean, imagine some children up in the Upper West region or say in the Volta region somewhere who go to school and they don't have a teacher, so they will have to play and
till the end of the day.
And in the end, they will sit with the same BEC and the same BEC with the kid at Christ the King, the kid at Ridge Lyceum or whichever it is. It's not fair. Like the kid from Alcide Academy. I mean, imagine. This is not fair.
That's a wake-up call to all stakeholders. But it's time for news.
Yeah. It's time for some news here on NewDay. Thanks for staying in. On to our very first story. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, has served notice to demolish the slum housing commercial sales workers along the Kwame Nkrumah Circle rail line. The Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mohammed Ejesowa, made this known during an exercise to rid pavement and streets of traders.
This information was for recalcitrant traders at areas including Tudu, TUC, CMB, Makola and the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. By 4 a.m., the task force, including the police, had been deployed to affected areas. Though the assembly last week made public its intention, some traders were still carrying out their businesses. Many of them had their goods seized.
We were not
sure the AMA would embark on this exercise. For some of us, action is the only deterrent.
If persuasion first forces apply, and forcing apply,
the seized items will be donated to charity. At Zongo Lane, the task force closed most shops in the area, blaming shop owners for dumping garbage on pavements. Despite several failed attempts in the past towards ensuring a clean city, the Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mohammed Ejesowa, is confident the current one will yield the desired results.
We are going to intensify it so that anybody who lives in the city or comes into the city will come to the realization that there is discipline here.
At the Kwame Nkrumah Circle slum, where commercial sex activities were rife, the AMA boss gave a 3-day eviction notice. In a similar exercise 2 years ago, the then Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Alfredo Vanderpoy, gave traders a bit of respite. Traders were not supposed to ply their trade beyond the red marks. Traders at the Rollins Park, ideally designed for cars, will be evicted Tuesday, January 9.
And at Bethlehem near Ashaman, 10 houses and wooden structures have been pulled down to pave way for the construction of the Tema-Akosombo rail line. The demolition exercise was undertaken by the Ghana Railway Development Authority.
The total area to be demolished spans from the timber market, Apairewa, Bethlehem and parts of Michelle Camp. The exercise to be completed by the end of the month, according to authorities of the Ghana Railway Development Authority, will be in phases. Many of the victims had relocated ahead of the exercise after being notified. 120 houses and machine shops have been earmarked to be demolished. Information gathered indicates that some compensation had been paid to the victims.
And still on demolition, tenants at the PWD Yacht at Kimbo in Accra are stranded after Sunday's demolition exercise by the Ministry of Transport. The demolition came days after the occupants claimed had made payment to extend their tenancy agreement. Here's a report by Eva Atiboka.
Structures at PWD Yacht included offices, warehouses and homes for workers of PWD and other agencies. The occupants, some of whom have operated for close to 20 years, say no notice was served them to vacate the premises before the demolition.
Yesterday was Sunday, and we are all in church. Then you come and break the office. If you are a minister, you come and break some citizens' office on Sunday whilst they are worshiping God. And the president himself is also lifting God up somewhere. Then what are we talking about?
If you want to eject somebody at least 3 months or 6 months, that is this thing. But we're not informed, no, nothing.
Most occupants hold tenancy agreement and valid occupancy for 5 months and more.
They haven't given us any notification, any letter, so and forth. They just can one day broom. They have to compensate us more than 5 months.
The occupants have receipts of rent payments.
We are still paying. That is 28th of December. We paid 4 months stretch. We've done those payments to PWD headquarters because they are our landlords.
We workers, we are staying here. We pay to the government, works and housing. They deduct the money from sources, our pay slip. I'm speaking, I pay 1.7.
Gloria Holmesgrave is Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Transport.
What the ministry is committed to is to ensure that everybody who has been affected in any way is properly attended to.
The occupants are calling on government for relocation and refund of their rent.
And TV3 has secured documents indicating the CEO of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahen Edu, paid for the 300 pieces of chocolate branded with his picture and distributed on his 60th birthday. Acting Managing Director of the Ghana Processing Company, Nana Ejenim says no individual can have his or her image fixed on any CPC product without paying for it. He spoke exclusively to our reporter, Komla Kluche.
This inception has been with us years, let's say ages, since CPC has been in existence. We've been doing it for corporate institutions, individuals, but it's just that for some time we had some operational challenges, and that is what, because we were not having the beans, and that is what made us to dip a bit. So it is a whole thing that we do. We do handmade. We have an R&D department, which is in short like the Research and Development Department. We train on this handmade. So there's another form that we call it cocoa entrepreneurship. So it's like we train them so that they can also do this handmade on a small scale to earn some money. It is something that anybody, and I want to emphasize, anybody can just walk in and say, do it for me. And like you are saying, it's been with us ages. So anybody who knows it will just walk in and we'll do it for him. So it is the same in that 2015 when the former first couple knew it, and that's how they came in to do it. We can have one here that even the president, Baba Jama, President Jama and all of them, we've done some for them. Even outside, they came here and we did it for them. You know, so it is not like exclusively to only Ghanaians. Anybody who has any idea as to this. So this was a 5th anniversary of the Republic of Gambia. And because the ambassador then knew what we could do, they did these commemorative ones as part of their 5th anniversary. So it's the same way that they also, as a CE and as an individual and a Ghanaian who also knows it, also walked in to say, this is the 60th birthday, and I want you to do customized chocolate for my 300 guests. And that's how we did it for him.
So 300 chocolates were supplied, customized?
No, 300 packages.
300 packages
yes.
were supplied for his 60th birthday. At what cost, and did he pay for?
Yes. The total came up for 4 cartons and 3 boxes, because each box contained 20 pieces. So we put 2 in each pack. So for that 300 came up to 600. And then we left the remaining for individuals, maybe if you spread it like that. So that total of that 4 cartons and 3 came up to 2,094 cedis. Because the cost, as I was saying, was the 448 times that total of 4 cartons and 3, or total of 83 boxes. Nothing is for free here.
Nothing is for free, and that was Komla Kluche interacting with the MD of Cocoa Board. On to other news, the West African Mills Company is to resume operations after government confirmed it has reconstituted its board. Workers of the company were asked to go home on indefinitely, that's December 22, 2017, following the absence of a board to oversee its operations.
The company, which processes cocoa beans for export, had been closed down for over 3 years. It, however, resumed operations in May last year following the change in government and the MPP's pledge to revamp alien industries. 42 out of about 200 workers were recalled for test production. The rest were hopeful of resuming work after the test run. Their hopes were, however, dashed when management sent the 42 workers back home indefinitely, with the explanation that they had run out of cocoa beans and that a board is required to enable the company undertake full production. An executive member of the Managerial Workers Union, Stephen Nwanya, explained that per the joint venture agreement, the German majority shareholder had to provide 4 board members, while government names 3 members.
When the board is formed, then the mandate can be given for negotiation to start to resolve all outstanding labor issues, including workers' salary, so that all the workers can be called, so that a full operation can start.
An aide to the Cocoa Board CEO, Fifi Boafo, said government had selected its representatives and it would be communicated to the company for production to resume soon.
Away from the labor front, let's shift to the law court, where the wife of the Lebanese national accused of raping his Ghanaian house help broke down in tears in open court after a bail application for her husband was adjourned. A report by Selum Amenya.
The accused, Rabi Haddad, would have to be detained at a police hospital where he is on admission after he fell ill following his arrest. The court was unable to hear the bail application due to the absence of the state attorney handling the case owing to ill health. This, however, did not sit well with the wife of the accused.
Wife of Rabi Haddad, the Lebanese national accused of raping his 19-year-old house help, today broke down in court after the court was unable to hear the bail application due to the absence of state attorneys handling the case. The court was, however, informed that the state attorney was unwell, and the visibly worried wife was seen in open court shedding tears, and she could be heard asking that if the state attorney is unwell tomorrow, is it the same situation that was going to happen?
Lead counsel for the Lebanese, Ralph Opokwe-Dusay, registered his displeasure at the turn of event. He argued the application could be heard with or without the presence of the state attorney. He further stressed the presence of the former AG, Maretta Brewer-Piopon, who is holding a watching brief for the house help, was enough representation to enable the case to proceed. He also told the court the family of the Lebanese have been evicted from their home and are having a hard time as they are forced to put up with friends. Rabi Haddad has since December 2017 been in police custody after being accused of raping his house help at his Airport Hills residence. The case has been adjourned to Tuesday, January 9, where the bail application is expected to be moved.
The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has suspended the sale of marine gas oil to ocean vessels leaving the country. Investigations by the authority has revealed government has lost 900 million cedis through diversion of the product.
According to the NPA, its investigations have revealed that some operators steal the marine gas oil and sell it to ocean vessels which are leaving the country. The NPA has therefore directed the immediate suspension of its sale for further investigations to be carried out.
Friday, when we began checking up, and this morning, we are going to suspend operations of MGO, and we have, in collaboration again with the Ministry of Finance, proposed the imposition of taxes, levies and margin on all marine gas oil to discourage the criminal elements from distorting the markets.
Coordinator for the Association of Oil Marketing Company, Kweku Ajimandia, commended the NPA for the swift response. The NPA has indicated plans to tighten its safety audits and fuel stations found culpable would be shut down.
This will be followed immediately with the risk assessment and safety audits of existing stations, and stations that do not meet the parameters set in the risk assessment may be closed down in the interest of public safety.
The coordinator of the OMCs again commended government for maintaining macroeconomic stability, which has improved the lot of OMCs.
The cumulative consequential negative effects of this dastardly act on unemployment, revenue to the state, and making it almost impossible for the OMCs to meet their financial obligations when due, thereby increasing the non-performing loans on the bank's books.
Figures from the NPA indicate a total of 3,391 filling stations are across the country, out of which 2,751 are into the sale of petrol, diesel, while 636 engage in the sale of LPG.
Away from the oil and gas sector, let's move on to do some security-related matters, where the police administration says the Inspector General of Police directive on the arrest of trade plate vehicles between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. has been misconstrued. Director General of Police Public Affairs Directorate, ACP David Senanu Eklu, insists the directive did not bar the police from mandatory checks and violations of the trade plate use.
The Inspector General of Police, David Asantia Pietu's directive to the police not to arrest users of trade plate vehicles between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. has generated public debate, whilst a section of the public condemned the police of abuse of power. Others celebrated the directive, saying they are free from police harassment. But the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, insists the IGP's directive has been misconstrued. Director of Vehicle Inspection and Registration, George Akom, says even though the police was correcting its own mistakes, there are still restrictions in the trade plate law that can be checked by the police.
Its use is very limited. To move it from the port to your workshop, from the workshop to your prospective buyer, and back to your shop. So any other use, like running the vehicle every day to work and back to your market, to the house, to the funerals, weddings, contravenes the law. By using it that way, the police can take any action on you.
This was supported by the Director General Police Public Affairs Directorate, ACP David Senanu Eklu.
So please, users of DV or DP plates, don't get it wrong. The police in uniform can stop you and ask for those documents. And if you take passengers, the only passengers that will be authorized are either the mechanic or a purchaser, or you are taking the vehicle from your fleet or your garage to the licensing office for registration.
But what could have been the reasons for the directive?
The 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. directive was in the repealed LI of 1974. And from there, the police also picked it and issued an internal directive in 2007. That was the basis, but those ones are no longer valid, as we stated in our news release, and are no longer backed by law. So police should stop using it.
ACP David Senanu Eklu also urged the public and the police alike to contact the Public Affairs Directorate for any clarification when in doubt. Meanwhile, the police administration is expected to hold a press briefing with other stakeholders on Friday, January 12, to further explain the directive in response to emerging issues.
Welcome back. So you know it's time for news headlines. We'll start off with Ghanaian Times, which says Gitmo 2 deal has expired. Also, 811 galamseyers arrested, 1,788 equipment seized by task force in 6 months. Also, Ho Central Prison is overcrowded as 529 inmates are cramped in a 170-capacity prison. And then finally, the big story there, hawkers have been ejected in Accra as well as Kumasi as assemblies clear pavements and streets of the traders. Johnny.
The hawkers bit, I think that's the thing everybody wants to talk about at this point. We're interested in the longevity of the project. And I am worried particularly because as of yesterday, Kwabena Dujenfi, one of our colleagues here who was with the team in Accra right from 4 a.m. till late. Ibrahim Abubakar as well was in the Ashanti region with the team, and they're not able to tell us how much it costs because we've not been able to put a figure to how much the exercise costs. We do know that, yes, they are getting extra hands from the security agencies. Are we paying for those? Will the team eat? Transport, and telephony, whatever it is, honorarium. What is it? What does it include? How much does it cost us? So that when the traders come back, we would know that, yes, you expended X amount on our behalf, and yes, the traders are back. So it's a wasteful venture. Because, yes, we want the city to be cleared, but at what cost? That's my point. At what cost? Congratulations, the AMA is doing what they have to do, the KMA is doing what they have to do, but at what cost?
Right. Johnny, but my worry is really whether we sit down to analyze what goes into the reason for which the hawkers will stay. Granted, the fact that there's a law, and so we know that selling on the streets or on the pavements is not the way to go. Most places have marketplaces where these hawkers are supposed to be situated. But again, why would a regular person who understands that what I'm doing breaches the law continuously continue to do that? I, for one, will want us to go back to the basics, or the real issues that exist. Most of these marketplaces are not constructed with ideas of the people who actually sell. And so they feel either it's congested, either it doesn't get the regular citizen walking in there to patronize their goods, for which they're going to run at a loss. Of course, most people, this is what they live on, because of course there's no employment. Unemployment is a real deal, and so everyone is trying to live on the go. So they're doing the little they can to sustain it. We're not by any way saying that you need to do the wrong thing to live. But of course, as a country, because I see this not being sustainable, and that's where you talk about longevity. I see this being the whims and caprices. We'll do it on the spur of the moment. But tomorrow when they come back, we're going to find a reason to say, oh, it's okay, we understand the plight, and so let them go. But if we understand that this thing is a recurring phenomenon because we haven't solved the grassroots issue and they'll keep coming, then what are we doing? The fundamental problem still exists. The fact that these marketplaces are not conducive for them to work. Can we go back and restructure them so that every hawker, because if I walk into that marketplace and I see that, oh, this is a nice place to actually stay, and so I go out there and I ask the hawkers, why aren't you patronizing these, you know, places that have been drawn up for you? And they still insist. Then we know that, okay, these people just have a mind of their own where they feel they need to breach the law.
The other time I had a conversation with the mayor of Accra, he was here, and I asked him a question about the fact that, we've had reports that the markets are supposed to be full. And he says, well, the markets aren't full, actually, because it's taking a tour of all the markets, Kaneshi, Yakugloshi, Malamata, and all the places in between. And he says that, well, there are some of the traders who have come onto the streets. So the other colleagues have also left their stalls and they have come to join them on the streets. So now they want to push all of them back. And we saw that on TV. So the markets indeed are not full, unless otherwise, maybe if everybody moves in there, we still have, you know, then we are able to do proper calculation. But up until this time, there are empty stalls in the markets. Go to Kaneshi, go to Malamata, you'll find them. There. Go to the pedestrian market at Circle. You'll find empty stalls that everybody wants to come outside.
Why? Johnny, that's where the question still holds. Because have you been to Kaneshi Market before?
I have.
Have you entered the
I have.
It's dark.
I grew up in Kaneshi.
It's congested. I, for one, don't fancy walking into that place. And so I can understand, or I mean, I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate to reason with these people. I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but I feel the fundamental issues still stand.
You know the problem with Kaneshi. I grew up in Kaneshi, so, and my grandmother used to have a stall at the Kaneshi market. But at the Kaneshi market, the stores have become more like storage places.
Exactly.
So there are 2 or 3 people selling outside on the park, what they call the park, the lorry park. And they will all bring their goods back in there and cram it into one place. So they go and pick the things either from Akwiploshi or Asamarkets, wherever it is, and come and store it there, and then cut it in bits and pieces to go and sell outside. So it's stuffy out there. And if you look at the architecture of Kaneshie, which is about one of the biggest in West Africa, it's supposed to have different sections. A section for tomatoes, a section for onions, a section for this. Now it's been mixed and matched. Yeah. I think that the managers of the markets, the Accra city markets, must rethink into it again. They must look into it again and start, working at it, because we need to have dignified markets. And you see, this same attitude trickles down to the trotros that we have. Look, you've traveled outside before, and anybody who's traveled outside can tell you, public transports are the ish. Everybody wants to ride public transports. Here in Ghana, not many people want to ride trotro, because you get in there, it's either the metal is rusting, or the seat is not stable, or the foam on it is weird or worn out. Then you can see metals coming out, or you can actually see the floor while you drive on the street, or the roof is leaking or something, and everybody is watching. You wonder how the DVLA grants them roadworthy certificates to be, because the cars themselves are not worthy of the roads. So how they get the roadworthy certificates to be able to move, and then they have a license, and then they ply the route every time. They go through police checkpoints, and you find that they go through it, nothing happens. They come back, nothing happens. The exhaust pipe is leaking, is bringing out some gaseous, dangerous gaseous, emissions, and nobody is watching. It's the same thing that happens in the market. Go to Kaneshie market, the rubbish, the filth, the boiler, right there in the heart. And I've told the mayor before that, look, the Kaneshie, Awudome, Bubuashi area doesn't have sanitary sites. So the people who use their rubbish there are forced to bring their rubbish to Kaneshie. So the itinerant riders will go and pick it and come and drop it at Kaneshie. But if you had, for example, if it's Zoom Lion, J Stanley, whichever it is, that's going house to house to collect the rubbish, then we can get it sorted. But you collect the rubbish, you put it in front of your gate, and it could take 3 weeks. Nobody wants to come for them. So then what are you doing? In the meantime, there's supposed to be an AME office at the Ogle Road area. So what are they doing? What do they do there?
I have no idea.
When they take their bath, eat their breakfast, tell their family and friends they are going to work, what do they go and do? Do they go and play? And yet we pay them.
We do.
So the food that you buy from Kaneshie has flies, has everything. Forget about the fact that people bring their carcass in the bucket of pickups, and they are standing on the beef and the wele that you will eat. Sweaty bodies, dirt, they are sitting on it. The FDA is watching. Nobody cares. And all of them, they have positions. Director General, engineer, this, that. What is wrong with us?
Anyway, let's move on and talk about whole Central Prison being overcrowded. Of course, again, it's a repeating phenomenon. Every time we seem to talk about this issue, it's not that it's new, but of course it's worrying. See, the prison is not some secluded place where you can just throw people away. They still
like some
maintain
detention
to have their human rights. Because what I see at her prison, Guantanamo Bay was closed because of some of the humanitarian issues that were taking place. But it's funny how the Gitmo, to who we talked about, were expatriated here because of the closure. But in Ghana, we're still practicing that kind of attitude where you keep 529 people in a 170 capacity and we are happy just because you think it's somewhere we dump people who have miscreants or criminals. But remember, some of these people have not even gone to court. We don't even know where their dockets are.
They're just on remand.
Just on remand, but they are there. And it's inhumane. And you see, the problem is not even with a prison alone. It's extending to the story says that in the whole Central, because the people are so many, the toilet facilities, which ideally should be the septic tank, it should be drained at least maybe every 2 weeks. It's not being done. And so it overflows and goes into the communities. And so the community people are also suffering. And that's what we see in Ghana.
Look,
it won't only, you think it's the prisoners who suffer, but eventually it catches
everybody
up with
else.
you.
My dad worked as a prisons officer. He rose to the rank to become the head of Industries Project and Development. May he rest in peace, ADP Johnny Hughes. And he tells me that the only prisons that are properly constructed are the Ankafo prison, I think the Nsawam prison. All the rest are, you know, put together. So the situation there in Ho Central, for me, is not surprising at all. It is not surprising also because we are more interested in custodial sentences. Somebody steals maize, go inside. Somebody slaps somebody, go inside.
Everybody
so
go
we're just
inside.
packing people.
Very soon, TV license people go inside.
Now, look at the capacity. The capacity is supposed to take under 200. Now it's taking how many people?
More than
so
twice,
then you want to ask yourself, communicable disease. And mind you, when these guys who have been jailed or incarcerated, whichever word you want to use for them, we have to bear the cost. The prison officers themselves who are taking care of them, we have to bear the cost for them. So now you ask yourself, what kind of wasteful investment are we making? And yet we know that the laws that we have does not encourage non-custodial sentences. Apart from fines, issues like parole and maybe making somebody go into weed or to what do you call it, to clear a certain gutter. The prison service themselves have a modality where people who are in jail are used as farm labor or for building and all other things, so they can rake in some cash. But what is the state's position on this? And this is why I expect our parliament to look at it again. Let's reform the laws, because clearly the judiciary's hands seem tied. They cannot implement a law that is non-existent. So parliament has to rework our laws. I mean, if somebody goes to take somebody's cassava, maybe one piece of cassava from Kanishi, why do you go keep the person in for 8 months?
In an already full
place. Okay, whereas that person could be taken to a state farm, say in Sawam, and given 2 acres to weed.
Exactly.
And then you come back.
You get free labor.
You get free labor. So I don't know, but we need to start thinking. 60 years we're too old for some of these Matra Makwe additions. 60, speaking of which, the Ghana 60 years and beyond committee, what happened to them? It's supposed to be a full year is an ad hoc committee.
I'm assuming. That they've given you the outline of the program, so the rest carry on.
Are you now? You do it yourself. Okay. Congrats. So anyway, it's all right.
Anyway, but just before we go off, FDA has also issued a directive on alcohol adverts, and broadcasters are going to hold a crunch meeting concerning that, because certainly it would affect media houses. But FDA is also saying we should look beyond, at the health implications rather than the costing of it.
I like what the FDA wants to do. I think that even ethically, some of these things need to be looked at. The way and manner in which we're pushing alcoholism is very threatening. The fact that we try to link it with sexual prowess is even more dangerous, you know. So every single alcoholic beverage that's sold, they try to connect it to, trying to get your libidinal prowess up, and for me it doesn't add up at all. I think that is a good step the FDA is taking, but the meeting is also very important. But the FDA has more than enough work to do. Ever since the FDA told us about 2 years ago that all the vegetables we eat, lettuce, cabbage, cucumber, carrots, has fecal matter. In plain sense, has some element of toilet in it.
The ones grown in Ghana.
Yes, the ones grown in Ghana, in Agates, Jowulu, Abosukai, has a bit of toilet in it. What does the FDA itself does about it? These things continue to go onto a market. If you go to Alima Wachi right now, you find cabbage and things. It's been chopped. They call it salad, right?
Yes, please.
Some people call it flowers. What has the FDA done about it? They know that people are eating this. But what have they done about it? You're a medical doctor. When people eat these things, what is the implication? Typhoid, cholera, diarrhea, what is it?
Well, you just mentioned all of them.
I'm asking you, I don't know.
Of course, it's not the way to go, because in the end, you're eating vegetables to be healthy, but you're also getting diseases in addition. So they have to talk about it. They have to deal with it as soon as possible.
So it's not just the focus on alcohol. This is a good call, but the vegetable, because each time we go to doctors like Amma, they'll tell us, eat fruits, eat vegetables. And the fruits and the vegetables we are eating, it can't matter. We didn't buy that. So FDA boss, Meme Daku, how far? Good morning. Please, can we get a white paper and a roadmap on how to deal with this? Maria Lovelace Johnson, good morning to you. How are you? Have you eaten vegetables today? Do you know where it came from? Are you wondered about the children who eat vegetables and don't know where it comes from, laced with a bit of fecal matter? That is the most important conversation we want to have with you. Thank you very much. For those who don't drink alcohol, this is their real killer. Good morning.
Anyway, people, it's time for Daily Rant, and we're talking about the creation of 5 new portfolios for communication, because the Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid, has let us understand that it's important to create, you know, good communication between government and ourselves by making these portfolios. But really, do we need them? Or they could just pass the Right to Information Bill and open the channels up for everybody to get information. We hit the streets as we rant with George Quainan this morning.
Government intends to establish 5 new portfolios to cater for its communication this year. And according to the sector minister, this measure has become necessary due to the increased demand for access to government information. Let me check in some information here. We've got the sector minister and his 3 deputies, and also we've got the Information Service Department. Can they undertake this whole mandate? And will this not constitute duplication and waste of resources? Welcome to Daily Rant.
I don't see it to be important. There are a lot of things to be done. See, we have issues like streetism, issues like how dirty this Accra is, issues about unemployment. So you want to tell me...
Just so you know, decongestion exercise is taking place, so AMA is sorting that out.
Sorting that out, that will be another problem. People start complaining because we always don't have a way to manage these things. You understand? But then, this is communication. You have several departments. You want to tell me these things can't be shared among these people to do? Do you have to come out and tell us you need this and that? We can't be spending money like that. See, it will get to a time we will all be fed up. We won't even vote again. Why? We vote for this, he comes with these issues, the other comes with that sentiment. Why? What should we do again? I think it's not a good move. I really don't support it.
Well, it's quite unfortunate when we know we have 110 ministers already, and we have 2,000 people working at Flagstaff House.
Who gave you that number?
Yes, if you are not aware, you can check.
2,000.
2,000. They are there. That's why they are. It's not about I don't have proof to it. I am sure. And I've done my
no, you can't
my
say
checks.
this if you don't have the proof.
I have done my checks. So, but there are 2,000 people working at Flagstaff House.
He's asking for your evidence.
Yes, maybe you have something from the Chief Justice. Or maybe I say, what's the name? Chief of Staff, you know, give me that information.
Yes, I have done my personal research. I don't need to check for
the Chief of Staff told you
the reason why the government is feeling reluctant to present the number of people working at Flagstaff House is because it has exceeded the number.
No, hold on.
Under John Mama said it was 600. Under John Mama,
but let's go straight to the point.
I'm making something. So
okay, go to the point.
I'm saying that in a government where we have 110 ministers and over 1,000 workers at the Flagstaff House. Now, just the ministry alone, we have 4 ministers, right?
Minister and 3 deputies.
Yes. Now, aside that, we have PROs, right? Now, after the Ministry of Information has ISD under. So you cannot say that the 4 ministers and the PRO and even ISD, the Information Service Department, cannot do the work you're talking about.
Exactly.
Now, you see, you are talking about 4 subcommittees under the cabinet. That is your economy and finance, security, social services, infrastructure, and I think another one too, right? So clearly the 4 ministers alone can share it among themselves. There's also the PRO. Aside that, even the ministries, right, they have PROs, right? You can even upgrade their status, brief them, right, or and keep them up to the way it comes to
someone like capacity building.
Yes. So you see, it is flawed. But you see, I mean, it's going to be a toll on the state coffers when you're going to employ another set of communicators. It is not necessary.
From my perspective, the idea is a good one, but it raises question as to because we have already existing government organization like the National Communication Authority and the
Information Service
and the Communication Ministry itself. So if government is coming out with 5 new portfolios, then the question is, where will be the resources? And I think that it will be prudent for the government to build the capacity of the already existing personnel within the communication authority or within the existing government organizations, so that at least they can work adequately.
When it comes to communication can actually make or make a government. Exactly. Yeah. So perhaps looking at the several bodies under this government with communication. When we have the NTA, we have we have the main Minister of Communication, 3 deputies, the IGS, and all that stuff. To me, I think it's very unnecessary to add on this 5-member portfolio, because it's like you want to overburden the tax. You want to overburden Ghanaians with at the long run, it's taxpayers' money you are going to pay these people with. And you see what will even happen is there's a tendency of social loafing, because fine, the number is large, so when the work is there, who's going to do it? It's like three-man job being given to 10 people to do.
Okay, there have been countless occasions where maybe I would want to, get information from the presidency to complete a story. And then, according to the information minister, this measure has become necessary due to the increased demand for access to government information. And so,
the point is that you see, you have not get information. No, but George, you see, the point is that the point is that
you want to get it from the source.
You see, look.
So you want to
this
tell
is
me
simply
the people there can't actually do this job. There's several people in the communication ministry. We can't get even just a person can do.
But you know what?
That's why we are calling
simply a job for the boys. Look, let me tell you something. There's nothing that the new communicators I want to bring on board that the 4 ministers, the PRO and ISD cannot do. Look, it is just a matter of sharing or decentralizing the job. They have not done it. So this is the time where even the 4 ministers have to be extra active. Your PROs are there. Even the PROs of various ministers are there. Even ISD is under you. It's also there.
Let me give you information. What if we get all these people on board and our communicators or communication ministry is top notch? It is quality. And the people don't even see the connection between them, the citizenry, and the communication ministry. The people don't feel the importance of them. The people are suffering. International-wise, they will see you. In Ghana, they have good communicators. They have good best what. But then your people are struggling. Your people are suffering. Your nation or your city is filthy. You see, I think it's like my brother said, it's misplaced priority. We're actually thinking about something else whilst we have very important things we can tackle. People are there. Let them do their job. Let them just encourage them, empower them.
Amount of lies from this government,
because I think there are already existing government organizations. You see, government. If I'm taking it from this perspective. If this portfolio is being created and resource person within this organization are being equipped to work within that portfolio, then I don't have a problem. But where we are going to employ another set of people, and where are we going to take? Because I don't think government has budgeted for this. You see, because recently at the latter part of 2018, that's where we read the we read the budget. So if government has not catered for it, then the government has no business in doing what.
Actually, I agree definitely.
That means that the government is not
priority.
The right to information bill has not been passed. If it's passed, like we'll be getting access to all these things.
What are you talking about?
Let's say this whole 5 portfolios, it's a necessary evil. Let's just accept it.
Look, George, we are saying
it's not necessary.
We are not pleading.
Each process,
as a citizen of this country, we have the right to say that.
Pass the right to information
we cannot allow you to,
so that information can be accessible to the public.
We can't just you have 4 ministers. You have the PRs of your ministry. You cannot tell us that these people cannot do the job. Come on, look. You are just it's just a job for the boys. Trying to find avenue to displace poverty. I'm telling you, look, even at Flagstaff, over 1,000 people are there. That's why they cannot afford to Parliament.
The idea is good, to make the idea accessible to the public.
The idea is not good.
The idea is not good. The process in which they are creating these portfolios is why we need to question.
We can manage what
the existing personalities, the existing government infrastructures. So they need to equip these people to work effectively, so that at the end we can address the communication.
For instance, you circulating, appointing 110 ministers, and so what? fine. Let him finish the 4-year tenure, and based on that, you can judge him.
We should sit down.
No, that sit down. No matter what you do, you voted him to back, and there's nothing you can do. Now coming back to this 4-member portfolio. If it's linked to the right information bill, then it's very, very important. Because this trust information bill, several other governments have come and they never went through it. And this came into power because of corruption. They could never pass it. These portfolios are
pave way for the right information bill. What?
Why should it pave way? Why should it pave way?
I'm not speaking. I am saying that it's unnecessary.
Our taxes.
You don't need extra communicators to do your work.
Everybody
because already you are in a comfortable way when it comes to ministerial appointments. You are in a comfortable way when it comes to other appointments. So
it's just like
all these appointments.
You throwing away everything that gets bought.
Okay, you want to add on.
Okay, so do you
want government to reverse this decision?
They should. Doesn't make sense.
They must reverse it. Manage what they have. Already, you have
so now people come like they need information from the tourism ministry. They create 5 portfolio. From the transport ministry, 10 portfolio.
Establishment. You have done portfolios for government communication. Let's do what you're saying. Log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's our News TV3. Always a pleasure coming your way. Good morning.
This is what it feels like.
Welcome back and thank you very much. Let's get on to the news review segment. The Ghanaian Times reports that Gitmo 2 deal expires. 811 galamseyers arrested, 1,788 equipment seized by task force in 6 months, and whole central prisons overcrowded. Hawkers ejected in Accra, Kumasi as assemblies clear pavement streets of traders. The finder says 114 gays, lesbians cry foul, narrate chilling abuses to Human Rights Watch. AMA decongest Accra to curb insanitary condition, and GCB goes international as it partners Morocco's largest bank. The Daily Statement this morning says ICU scores MPP government 80%, defense sector to see greater improvement in 2018, and we need more accountability. That's according to the CDD. The Daily Guide says EC boss doles out 11 million Ghana cedis to controversial companies. Mahama storms called for NCA gang, and Lebanese suspect's wife cries. Public setting for seat for cash probe begins. It will be in the open. And runaway robbers smoked out in Bolga. The Daily Graphic says AMA strikes, clears pavements of traders, and 75 illegal miners arrested in Konongo. River gods forbid girls from school. The Minister for Youth and Sports is here, Deputy. We'll be asking 1 or 2 questions. The Broadcasters Association to hold crunch meeting over FDA directive on alcohol. Daily Heritage reports so. And the Finder Sports says Ghana to spend $2.1 million. That's according to the Deputy Sports Minister. The 2018 Commonwealth Games, and Dogbe to battle Magdaleno. My guest this morning is the Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Pius, and I'm Hajide. Pius, good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
And how are you doing?
I'm fine.
The weekend was very ecstatic. Mr. Dogbe did his thing and put Ghana right back on the mark. For you as Deputy Sports Minister, do you see boxing coming up again?
Yes, thank you very much, Johnny. Let me say good morning to you and to our cherished viewers, and also use the opportunity to wish you a happy and prosperous New Year. This is the first time I'm coming on your set in this year.
Right.
And so I need to do the needful and wish our cherished viewers a happy and prosperous New Year. These are interesting times, not only for boxing, but for sports in general in the country. To answer your question directly, yes, boxing is on a positive trajectory. As I speak to you, we are fine-tuning a strategic corporate document that seeks to bridge the gap between amateur and professional boxing. We are in serious discussions to even establish a national boxing academy, and we are doing this in close collaboration with the management and leadership of the Ghana Boxing Association and the Ghana Boxing Federation.
Okay.
Lawyer Peter Zuenes and his group, and Mr. George Lamptey and his group, ably supported by the former GBA president, Mr. Fuamoni, Mrs. Fuamoni, are working closely with us to fashion out a new way for sports in this country, and by particular emphasis on boxing. Just a couple of days ago, I opened a national coaching courses, a course for all coaches across this country in boxing.
Right.
And one of our international stars, as far as boxing is concerned, an IBA 3-star accredited boxer from Ghana, has had the opportunity to train coaches across the world, at least 112 countries. And he happens to also be the coach of the Black Bombers. That's the national boxing team. Is just a couple of days ago, I had the opportunity to open that training course. And so a lot is happening as far as boxing and its development is concerned. I take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Dobi on his outstanding performance over the weekend.
Right.
He made himself proud. He made his country proud. We have always insisted that just like Dobi, there are a few other boxers that have come up that have potential.
Right.
And as a country, as a ministry, we stand firmly behind them.
I have heard of and I've seen actually Wahab Oluwaseun, you know, at the Azuma Nelson fight night. Amazing boxer by all standards. But the key question that comes up is whether or not they have the facilities and whether or not they have the needed push and support from government. Let's wrap up on that one.
Well, the facilities are a challenge. I mean, everybody in this country knows the situation that was inherited. We are, and of course, some work has also been done. SNIT put up the Bukum Boxing Arena, for instance. We are in close discussions with SNIT to see how we can transform that into a national boxing college of some sort. And so, as for facilities, well, we have taken some steps forward, but there is still room for improvement.
Right.
But as for support, we are keen in giving both moral, spiritual, and even economic support. And we have supported the boxer in question. The last time, if not this one, the one before this, when he won his fight, he met with His Excellency the President, and the government of Ghana donated, I think, about $30,000 to him at the time. Just yesterday, my minister was making efforts to again take him and the IWBU vice president who was in town to meet up with His Excellency. So it is clear, and the minister himself was at the arena to watch the match and support all the Ghanaian fighters who were there. So our support for boxing in particular and sports in general is clearly manifest, and it only will get better in 2018.
Thank you very much. Mohamed Abdulaziz, as the MP for Mion constituency, has joined us. Happy New Year, Mo.
Thank you, Johnny.
And how's it been for you?
Good, except that my friend here and their regime don't seem to be making our lives much better than we expected. Let's see what happens in the next few days to come.
I hear you. So let's start with a sporting note. Did you see the Dogbe fight? There's a Dogbe fight. Actually, have you seen it? If you're not, then
I watched the excerpts yesterday on television, and I was impressed that a young man of his caliber has brought honor not just to himself, but also to his nation. I think he's coming up as a very strong person in the boxing industry. I've always believed that as a country we have an opportunity to diversify our economy through some of these things. The last time the Deputy Minister appeared before our committee, you can remember my worry was how we could be able as a country to develop the lesser known sports. You know, the attention has always been on soccer and soccer at all times. Even in respect of soccer, the attention has always been on the national Black Stars. The national team, the Black Stars. And so I think that as a country, we have a very great opportunity to offer jobs, to diversify our economy, and to nurture talents through the sporting industry. I'm happy. I'm not a fan of
we're spending $2.1 million for the Commonwealth Games. Is that correct, Vice?
Well, that's not
it.
Entirely,
so the finder is misquoting you.
No, I'm not. I just read a story. It's just my picture.
Right.
He doesn't attribute any code to me.
Okay.
He attributes the codes to deep throat sources within the Ministry of Youth.
Is this correct? Is this information right?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
I am not aware. I know that the budgeting process is still on.
Okay.
The last time I checked, and that was just yesterday, before I left the office. I was not given this figure. I was given far less than
so what's the actual figure?
Like I said to you, the budgeting process is
but the last figure that you
but it will be premature for me to put
No, I'm not saying that you should say that is the figure.
Yes,
but I'm saying that
it will be
as of the last time that you cited the preparatory budgetary...
There are technical people working on these things. I know for sure that we are taking about 12 disciplines. We are taking swimming, we are taking shooting, we are taking boxing.
At what cost?
I'm saying to you that all the costings are being put together, and it will be announced. I mean, these things can never be done in secret.
Right.
It is the public money, it's the people's money.
Okay.
And so I'm sure
but the finder is quoting $2.1 million.
Well, I mean, the finder can be interrogated.
Okay.
And like I'm saying, there are technical people.
So clear the air. How much are we spending?
I'm
you have no idea.
I don't put the budgets together myself.
I thank you very much.
We have technical people, including coaches of federations and co, who are working on these things.
Right.
Yesterday, before I left the office, I had been given some briefing. I was told that the process is incomplete. However, the figures that the indications that I got was far less.
Are you willing to share the indications with us? You're not willing. Okay, sure.
I think it will be premature.
I hear you, Mo. So wrap up on this one. You said the focus should not be on football.
Oh yes, I
we
think
should
that
see other sports as well.
Yes, we should do as much as possible to develop the lesser known sporting activities.
Let me quickly reassure my brother that even we refuse the phrase lesser known. We don't believe that there is any such thing. What it actually is lesser funded. Because when you are in Ghana, you are talking about cricket, and you are saying it's lesser known. You will go somewhere and look quite ignorant. So we believe that it's lesser
known within the context of our country.
Well, Ghana. I believe even our view is actually that it's about funding. No,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So it is not.
I agree with you.
I'm only agreeing with you, and we are saying that it is our view that if we invested some more in some other sports,
so
like
it's
boxing,
lesser funded, not lesser known.
Absolutely.
Semantics.
It is not necessarily so. We must admit that there are some sports that have been disadvantaged.
Bottom line, let's pay attention to other sporting activities.
But how do we do that? It's to increase funding.
Right.
But if Parliament continues to reduce allocation to the ministry, and then members of Parliament turn around to say, let us pay more attention, then it becomes a little...
But that's what you present
we don't prepare budgets. We don't prepare budget as Parliament. No, we don't. You
pass the appropriation.
It is the executive that prepares the budget. You bring it for approval.
But you approve it.
Oh yes.
So I'm saying
we approve.
No, but I'm saying that Parliament. It is not a straitjacket rule that whatever is brought is approved. Otherwise, it's a rubber stamp.
Do you have any evidence that your budget was cut by Parliament this year?
I'm saying that it is from last year.
I'm asking if you have any evidence that Parliament cut down your budget this year.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that you passed the appropriation, right?
Oh, we pass what you bring to us as an executive.
Gentlemen, let's move on.
Deputy Minister, and you know the process more than I do.
Enjoy the conversation.
You know the process more than I do.
Interesting in here, but the Gatesmo 2 deal has expired as of Saturday, 6th January. The big question is, should we let them stay or should we let them go? Pius, I'll start with you. What is the position of the government, if any? Do you know? Because the last time the Minister for Foreign Affairs appeared in Parliament, she was very emphatic that the original plan hasn't changed, but the expiry date remains. Now, Saturday, the date elapsed. What is the position of government at this point?
Well, let me state clearly that on this matter and at this material moment, I speak for myself.
Right.
I am not privy to what the official government position is.
Okay.
But I believe that we have been put in a very precarious position by the previous administration.
How so?
Because of the arrangements that they made. You see, there are commitments or there are arrangements, if entered upon, become binding on you. And what you may have done, if those agreement, the initial agreement was not signed, it's not necessarily what you will do today, because there exists already an agreement. I am, in fact, at the time this Gitmo arrangement was made and this alleged terrorist was brought into this country, I felt quite terrorized and scandalized as a Ghanaian that my government at the time, without any show of any benefits, without any motivation whatsoever, decided out of all the countries that we were going to be one of the countries that was going to become the dumping grounds for alleged terrorists as described by America. I mean, I did not know what bargaining chips or what proposals we made. I do not know what benefits were supposed to accrue to Ghana, but we accepted this. We had put ourselves on the radar, and we, as it were, became one of the few countries that had accepted to take on these Gitmo people. I do not know what security assessments were, what threat assessments were done, and I do not know if the previous government had even thought about the security implications of accepting this Gitmo.
Which was why then in opposition your party said that as soon as they assume power, they will send them.
No, we
did
not say that.
Was that not?
No,
it?
We did not say that.
What was the position?
We were very much against the processes, and we thought that this matter should even have gone to Parliament, because for us it looked like a country versus country agreement, and agreements like that needed parliamentary approval.
Subsequently,
but those didn't happen.
The Supreme Court ruled it went to Parliament for ratification. More correct?
Yes.
Good. So now the ratification.
So we were justified. Our position was justified by the Supreme Court.
My question now is that, okay, so personally, the 6th of January marked the expiration of that deal, the 2-year deal. Should they stay? Should they go?
Well,
what's your position?
As it is now, the original plan that the NDC entered in with America was that upon expiration of the time they were supposed to be in Ghana, they could be, as it were, assimilated into the Ghanaian community, and they could become part of our system. I feel that we can still keep them, but it is in confinement. That we cannot strictly insist on the earlier position of refusing to have accepted them. The harm has already been done. A lot of water has gone already under the bridge. So it is now difficult to bundle these people and take them back, because there is an agreement that we have entered in with the Americans, kind courtesy President John Mahama and the NDC. So I think that at this time, what we can practically do is to continue to keep these people, but I am not too sure about releasing them and allowing them to integrate, and that's the word, integrate into the Ghanaian community. It means that they could marry, take wives in Ghana, become ordinary people walking on the streets, and so possibly even become Ghanaians. I do not think that we need to tread that path. I think that they are here, they have been taken care of by the state, they have been in confinement. I so believe they should continue to be in confinement and under those conditions, but to release them into the system, I am not too sure.
Thank you. Mo, Gitmo 2, stay or go?
Johnny, you see, the issue is not about we releasing them into the Ghanaian public. No, that's not the question. The question today is whether we should allow them to stay or we should send them back.
But in staying, they will be part of our society.
No, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, there are some restrictions in respect of movement. The question today is that the agreement to host these two Gitmo 2 has expired. Last week, Saturday, 6th of January. You see, you have two decisions to make today. You either send them back because the agreement has expired, or you go to Parliament and seek for an extension of their stay in this country. That is a decision confronting your government. You see, you have retreated already. The Deputy Minister is not even aware that when the Minister for Foreign Affairs came to Parliament to seek for parliamentary ratification, pursuant to the ruling of the Supreme Court, what she did was to retract your earlier position that it was an irresponsible decision by President Mahama to accept these two. Because when you assume power, you had the responsibility, you had the duty and the authority to send them back, but you didn't. You came back to Parliament to seek for ratification so that you could be able to continue to host them in this country. Today, as we speak, what your government is engaged in is a pure illegality. In fact, you are disregarding the ruling of the Supreme Court because from SIF, I'm telling you, from SIF, Saturday to today, Tuesday the 9th, you are engaged in an illegality.
One would say you did same when you brought them in without parliamentary ratification.
Exactly. It was our understanding that we didn't need a parliamentary ratification. But the Supreme Court has ruled on this matter.
Okay.
There's now a definite ruling on this matter. And so you are engaged in an illegality. The only thing for you to do now is to either send them back or come back to Parliament and seek for an extension of their stay. And that would be a fresh ratification. That is what we are supposed to do. But anyway, no. I had a lot of disagreements with you when you were speaking. What I just want you to understand is that whether President Mahama and the NDC was irresponsible or not, your minister, when he came to Parliament to ask that we allow them stay, what she did was to beat a retreat. They have been in this country for 2 years. You have been in power for 1 year. What it means is that they have been in this country for 1 year under President Mahama and 1 year under President Akufo-Addo.
Should they stay? Should they go?
That is a decision for government and not me.
What do you suggest?
No, it's not about my opinion. It is not about my opinion. No.
But why have an opinion? No, don't you have an opinion?
No, it is not. You see, I am not privy to the security intricacies of their stay in this country.
And you brought them?
Oh, I am. As a person, I am not. Oh, come on. Deputy Minister, take it easy with me. As a person...
But you are not taking it easy with him.
No, as a person, I am not privy, and I don't have the capacity to know the security implications of their continuous stay in this country. Only our government knows. And so the decision is on you to decide whether you will recall Parliament. And the laws allows you to recall Parliament when we are on recess to seek a parliamentary approval for their continuous stay in this country, or you send them back.
Mamo, you are a member of Parliament.
The inconsistency on your part and your government is so clear that even today, after they have stayed in this country for good 1 year under your watch, and you engaging in this illegality, you still say President Mahama and the NDC were responsible about that?
No, you see,
I'm surprised.
Okay,
I'm just surprised.
I'm
just surprised.
It's a straightforward matter.
Right.
When you take over the reins of government, you inherit liabilities such as
and assets.
Yes. So if you do inherit some of these very scandalous and disastrous arrangements that were made in the past, you deal with it. It is a different thing talking about it at the time of the agreement. But once the agreement is signed, you are not going to come back and just because you disagreed with the earlier arrangement, you bundle these people and go and drop them in JFK. You don't do that because there is already a binding agreement on Ghana.
And so, is
the government in a tight position?
That's not true.
What do you mean that's not true? Did Americans damn the Gipon to us?
I'm sure I'll have the chance to come back.
But if you say that is not true, Johnny, if my honorable friend says that is not true, I ask, did Americans drop the Gitmo 2 on us? Didn't you accept them by force? By choice?
It was not by force.
Yes. There was an agreement, right? So and even your former president was on record to
our former president. The flaw in your argument is that the flaw in your argument is that the Supreme Court did not say at all costs go to Parliament and seek for ratification. You were given two options. Take it easy. To either send them back, or go to Parliament and seek for parliamentary ratification.
But I'm saying that
you had that option.
I'm saying to
you that. You chose to allow them to stay.
Look, I'll give you a narrative.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarity.
Let me illustrate this. Yes, I had a discussion with a friend who told me that she was forced into marriage, by the parents. So she gave birth in the marriage. So the parents passed. And the friends advised that, well, you didn't like the man in the first place. You were forced into the marriage. Now, your parents, for which reason you married the woman, your parents are passed. Can you leave the marriage now? The girl says that, look, I was forced into the marriage, but now I have issues out of that marriage. I have 2 kids out of that marriage. The conditions then change. Okay. So you cannot argue that because the lady did not want the marriage at the time, and she felt compelled.
Cannot fly.
It cannot fly.
You were given the option. You were given the option by the Supreme Court.
Pius,
but I'm saying to you that at that time,
a very clean sheet. We
did not meet a clean slate.
And you chose to.
We did not meet a clean slate.
And you chose to.
Gentlemen, hold on. Pius, is government in a fix as to taking a decision
now?
No, I do not know.
Your president is engaged in illegality.
I beg you.
I'm saying that I speak for myself on this matter. I'm sure that government's position on the matter will be clarified in due course. But I believe that what is morally right in this matter is that our hands have been tied behind us by the recklessness of by your government.
We are not in power today.
But I'm saying that your reckless decisions. We are not in power today. Your reckless decisions can bind.
We have been out of power for more than 1 year.
Your reckless decisions can still bind this government.
How?
Because you are entered into arguments already.
How?
You brought these Gitmo people here already.
For their perpetual stay.
But you brought them here.
For their perpetual stay.
No, you misrepresented the point by saying that when the agreement expires.
You understand it properly.
When the agreement expires,
only refusing to speak to the issues.
When the agreement expires, it is a one or the other option. Keep them or take them. That is not the agreement you entered into, and that was not what was ratified. What you actually was ratified was that when the agreement expires,
for 2 years,
when the agreement expires, there is the possibility that they are integrated into Ghanaian community. And we as but you haven't. Then you need to reread.
There's that element.
Then you need to reread the agreement.
Are you aware?
Yes.
That what the Minister for Foreign Affairs came to Parliament to seek for the parliamentary approval was just for 2 years, starting from the very day that they entered this country. That it expired on the 6th of January 2018.
And I'm saying to you that
that's a fact.
Yes, but upon expiration what?
It expired on the...
Okay, are you aware?
Upon expiration what?
Pius, take it easy.
Upon expiration what?
That we have a fresh decision to take today. Either to send them back or to allow them to continuously stay in this country, but subject to parliamentary approval again.
That's correct.
And that is a decision for your government.
3 days have elapsed.
The NDC has been out of office for more than 1 year now. You cannot push your irresponsibility on us. You cannot. You are just being reckless.
Do you also agree?
You have a lawyer president who is engaged in this and illegality.
Do you also agree that perhaps the decision that you took and the after effects of that decision may have tied their hands? Is that an argument you want to buy?
In what way? In what way? That today, as we speak, that parliamentary approval, the 2 year stay that they were brought in to stay, has expired. You have a responsibility to make a
decision. I'm saying that
you have a lawyer president, you have an attorney general, and you cannot take this simple decision. You are engaged in an illegality.
Maybe.
Okay, Pius will wrap up for me on this one. Thank you.
Honorable summarizes his point when he said initially he pleaded ignorance in some of the matters. Okay, you said you were not aware of something. You said it.
Okay, we need to move on, gentlemen.
So wrap up. You are ignorant.
I can be ignorant.
You are ignorant on this matter.
No. On this matter, no.
That on the 6th of January, their stay in this country expired.
It is my turn now. Let me finish.
Do you agree with me?
Let me finish.
I thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen. 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you. 30 seconds.
The host is actually
even when the host is correcting you.
Thank you. 30 seconds for you guys.
No, it is you the host is correcting.
The host is your 30 seconds is running.
The host.
Pius, 20 seconds gone. 10 seconds.
If he keeps.
So let's move on, gentlemen.
But if he keeps interjecting me, I cannot do anything in 30 seconds.
I've stopped him.
But he keeps talking.
Your government is being reckless.
He's still talking.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm grateful. So the host,
you who brought in the Gitmo people, without you are not being reckless.
Take a decision today.
And you can join us on WhatsApp 0508235228. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yesterday, the cities of Accra and Kumasi had their fair share of what I call the wind of decongestion. It's blowing, and the concerns out there that these things are not sustainable. We start them, and then towards electioneering period, we try and relax them. For example, the past mayor, Mayor Van der Poel, introduced what we call the red line policy, which would allow traders to share the pavements, you know, with pedestrians. There's a fear that Mayor Niaje Soa will repeat the same phenomenon, and for the public, it's a complete waste of resources. Mo, has this come to your attention, and what do you think of it? The decongestion exercise and the aftermath?
It's been an annual affair, except when we're in an election year. And I think as a country, we have a duty to clean up our cities. We can't allow this to continue, only to allow the traders to use those pavements during an election year. That is improper, and we must work at it. I mean, previous mayors have worked at it. Even in Tamale, as I speak, the mayor of Tamale is engaged in same, except to say that some military men are used to carry out the activities in a manner that does not reflect our democratic state. And so it's been a regular activity. Let's see how we can bring it to a finality. You see, in some jurisdictions, Johnny, what happens is that you just don't drive into the city center. There are parking lots outside town where you can park your vehicle and take a commercial vehicle into town. In Accra, almost everybody would want to drive into Accra Central in his or a private car.
Would you be willing to park your car and sit in a trotro?
Why not? Why not?
So why haven't you? So why haven't you parked your car?
And that is why I came in a trotro.
Okay.
You can ask your guys outside.
Right.
But you see, that's why President Mahama, before we left office, had introduced this Ayalolo system, where you just need a car to swipe in a bus, the rapid bus transport system.
Ayalolo,
I mean, those were part of the plans that were actually rolling out to transform not just our economy, but the entire Ghanaian community. You guys have a duty to continue what we did, and I'm sure some of this.
Ayalolo is still running. Anyway.
It's still running, but they can improve on it. I mean, you just don't inherit.
It was a pilot for the Pokwasi area.
Exactly. When you inherit
more corridors.
When you inherit a good policy or project, what you do is to improve and to expand. They have a duty to do same. I'm telling you that when we do some of these things that we see in UK and US, I'm sure we will not need to run after the traders day in, day out. It's just a matter of taking some bold initiatives like President Mahama did, and we'll be fine. You guys have a duty to continue and stop propaganda.
I spoke with the mayor. Is he doing propaganda?
Oh, yes. That's what he does. He's a very nice guy, but trust me, when he puts on the propaganda...
So you don't do propaganda?
No, I don't do propaganda. Trust me.
Yes, sir.
Respect the issues as they are.
A trend is developing, and it is rather worrying that people, deliberately or otherwise, create a mess. Then they turn around and then they say that, well, fix the mess. And they will argue that according to them, your inability to fix the mess is a failure. They will not admit that their creation of the mess is a problem. And so it's a worry. And I can assure my colleagues in the NDC that whatever mess, including the Gitmo, whatever mess they created, we shall fix. But they lack any moral authority to insist that the mess that they deliberately and willingly, without any compulsion, created.
Are you suggesting that the past NDC government, put their traders out there on the streets?
No, that's not what I'm addressing.
No, that's what I want you to address. That's a question.
That's a matter before discussion.
No, but Pius, let's have a conversation. So, let's have a conversation.
I'm saying that they created the Gitmo mess.
Okay, that is understood. You have made that point. So, I'm talking about decongestion.
I wanted to lay emphasis on that point.
You said your own questions and answered them.
Now, yes.
You said your own questions and answered them.
I'll come to the decongestion.
Thank you. Yes.
I want to emphasize that you created the
MPP person.
Can we make progress?
Speak to the issues before you.
When you are talking, I keep quiet.
When you instoke him, he will talk.
No, but if I emphasize that they created a mess in the Gitmo matter, he must accept it.
Well, no, our viewers know that.
Speak to the issues before you.
So let us go to the decongestion.
Yes.
As for the Gitmo mess, you created it. There's no doubt about it.
Decongestion.
A typical MPP person.
Then we come to the decongestion, and I think that the mayor and the AME, just like all the other Metropolitan and district assemblies that are taking steps to clean up the mess that was inherited is commendable. I think that they should be encouraged to continue this. I do not believe that we are under a jurisdiction that we will want to stop some of these things just for the politics or for winning an election. Because we are thinking about the future of this country and not the next elections. But I can understand that the history, the contemporary history, has been that these things are stopped and the floodgates are again opened during elections here. It is my hope and prayer that the departure that we are seeing now will continue, and that even in an election year, what needs to be done right by this country will be done, including the decongestion exercise. Right. I believe that even for purposes of election, majority of the people who will also go to the polls will appreciate that we are taking steps to decongest the city and make it clean. And that, yes, 1 or 2 people may be affected, but the vast majority of the people would appreciate our intention, would appreciate the fact that we are interested in decongesting the city, making it one of the cleanest. In fact, Accra we met as one of the dirtiest cities.
Has it changed?
Well, these are the things that will change it. It will not change overnight. And we have been in government for just 1 year.
2 months. 2 months after the president.
It doesn't take.
You brought up the cleanliness. So hold on, Pius, for me. 2 months after the president and Mr. Kofi Adda announced that we would have sanitation marshals, none of the MDAs
we do
has
every ministry
appointed
we
a
all
sanitation
have.
marshal.
No, we all have.
Are them sanitation marshals?
Yes. In our ministry and across board, we have a letter written from His Excellency the President
Yours
himself.
Is a minister.
No,
I'm talking about the municipal.
But I'm saying to you that this is the directive that all MMDAs, ministries, agencies, departments, and agencies should appoint sanitation marshals, even be above a certain level. And by a certain deadline. And so that is a directive that came straight from His Excellency the President's office. I would be surprised.
Are you implementing
I would be surprised that there is any, if you want, maybe we should ask that the names be published. Maybe we should ask, but I know that, for instance, in my ministry, a sanitation marshal has been appointed, and I believe same has been done for all.
So what does your marshal do in your office?
So, it is stated clearly that you must make sure that the place is.
What is stated on paper is different. I'm telling you, you have a marshal at work. What does your marshal do? Tell us, because you are here, so others can learn from your ministry.
Well, the directives are clear.
They have only put them on payroll.
No, these are already these are people who are already at post.
Tell us and I'm asking, what does your marshal do? So he comes to work today. What does he do?
No, the marshal was not employed just to do. The marshal is already a director.
Okay.
And a schedule has been added onto his schedule
so the marshal duties
to make sure
play second fiddle to his official original duties.
Well, we are not. I do not believe that the thinking of this government is to appoint new, make new recruitments just for sanitation as sanitation marshal.
So how does the marshal focus on the main job there?
I'm saying that we can chew gum and walk at the same time.
Okay.
People don't just do one thing. I mean, I'm sure that after doing this program today, you go out there and do other things.
I'm going on to radio.
Absolutely. So you can do other things apart from the straight jacket thing that you're doing this morning. So I'm saying to you that
this is not straight jacket.
No, every morning it is a routine.
It's innovative. Okay. The GJ says we are the best morning show.
Yes, but I agree with you. This is a very fantastic morning show. But I'm saying that it is not only morning shows that you do here. You do other things. And so you can have a director. You can have a director. You can have a director. You can have a director.
Alaimo.
It's a contradiction. Why is it a contradiction?
Pius, don't engage him.
I'm saying to you that the sanitation marshals is a beautiful concept. It is an improvement on what we might have seen. Now at every MMDA, you have somebody who is directly responsible for the cleanliness of that environment. We didn't have this in the past. And so for me, this is an improvement. And I want to congratulate His Excellency the President for having the vision and for seeing that there is the need for Ghana to become another clean country.
Thank you.
And it is not for nothing, Johnny, that they say that cleanliness is next to godliness.
Let Honorable have his take. Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You see, talk is cheap. You see, my friend and brother is struggling to explain the sanitation marshals and what they do. Well, if we're told that they were going to recruit,
hold on,
sanitation marshals.
Hold on for me. So on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, it says MDAs failed to select sanitation marshals. And it says Ghana's renewed attempt to address its perennial sanitation problem stands in limbo as the selection of sanitation marshals in various state institutions is yet to see the light of day. Checks by Ghanaian Times indicated that state institutions were yet to select 2 officers to serve in that capacity almost 2 months after President Akufo-Addo gave them a 1-week ultimatum to do so. At the launch of the National Sanitation Campaign in November 2017, the President said the marshals were to be trained by the Environmental and Sanitation Directorate within 1 month after their selection. Their specific duties will be to ensure the compliance to sanitation bylaws in the respective institutions, including the seat of government, the Flagstaff House, to set example to the citizenry. So that's it. And that's the Ghanaian Times, unless you doubt what
this story clearly exposes Nanado and his government, including Pius here. How? You have failed to do what the president has asked you to do.
But I just told you that. I told you that in my ministry, a sanitation.
I said in his ministry it exists.
We have no evidence to that.
But you have evidence.
We have no evidence to that.
But I'm here talking to you. You don't. I am here talking to you about my ministry.
That doesn't make him an authority.
I am here talking to you about my ministry. You don't believe it. You are telling me that you are taking from.
Ghanaian Times says that
I am here. I am telling you what has happened.
The president only spoke at words. He gave a directive within 1 week.
No, but
do ABCD. Which we have failed to do in 2 months. Which we have failed to do in 2 months.
He allowed you. Allow him.
But I'm saying that.
Which we have failed to do in 2 months.
I think that he has not been fair. I am here.
Okay.
And I'm saying that something has happened in my ministry. And I'm reporting that something has happened in my ministry.
But why do you have reason to doubt him?
And he says that I am not an authority. If the deputy minister is not an authority in his ministry, then who is the minister?
Hold on.
The Ghanaian Times.
Why do you doubt him?
I don't work for the ministry.
Johnny,
let's
clear this matter.
I'm asking him a question.
I'm saying that between the deputy minister of youth and sports and the Ghanaian Times, who is the authority in the ministry of youth and sports?
Well, Pius.
Who is the authority?
In your ministry.
Who is the
authority? For the respect
that
I have for you, and also for the fact that I don't have any material evidence contrary to what you have said, I'll grant you that. But I'm saying, according to the Ghanaian Times that is before the 3 of us here, the president gave all MDAs 1 week. It's been over 2 months now. That has not been done. You see, talk is cheap. That's why you were struggling to be able to explain yourself out as far as this filth is concerned. You guys have failed as a why didn't you say you will make Accra the cleanest city in Africa?
We will.
Do you know how filthy Accra is today?
We will.
Accra is filthier than you came to meet it.
That is not correct.
Accra is filthier than you came to meet it.
Well, let's do some messages.
Talk is cheap.
But what position is it?
Accra is filthier than you came to meet it.
But what is this that, I left that, but you came to add that. You are not even.
We're not about debt. No.
You are not even shy to talk like this.
Filth.
You are not even shy to talk like this.
Let's do some messages, gentlemen.
That is not correct.
Dr. Abedi, aka Big Shoes, says, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Dr. Abedi Wadaso, aka Big Shoes, says, good morning, champion host. We thank God 75 galamseyers have been arrested in a dawn soap at the Konongo Odumase. But when will these stubborn headsmen stop? We are not safe by these Fulanis. The security of this country have to wake up to stop them from their wrongdoing, because our farms, women, and all of us are victims to them. The government should take a hand in it to stop them. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Instead of adding 5 portfolios to propagating government agenda, I would suggest you pass the Right to Information Bill, Mr. President. Akafari from Bolga. Nana Akufo-Addo, disappointed, unemployed university graduates are waiting for the Nation Builders Corps program. Just to remind you, Odro Inwa. Good morning. I'm Adote Richard from GH Media School at Chimota. I'm very sad since yesterday through to today. Our mothers and fathers are selling along the roadside have been sacked and their items have been seized. This problem can stop when they put up a large market place that can contain all of them. Alasan Wanaiwa says, good morning to you and your viewers. In the last year, the administration led by His Excellency Akufo-Addo, the economy has been doing well in the area of education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, and roads. All these will help to enhance productivity and to create jobs for the teeming youth in the country. Abdul Basit Zongo Pioneer in Kumasi says, greetings to my able president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Whether John Mahama likes it or not, the office of the special prosecutor has come to stay. No one will sympathize with any corrupt official who loots, creates, and shares taxpayers' money. Joyce Sampari for Women's Organizer. Thank you. Good morning, Johnny. I'm weeping about certain things in Ghana. One of such issues is the Ghana Immigration Service selling 84,000 pieces of forms to people, knowing very well that they're only employing 500 people. Please, I want TV3 to talk about those things in Ghana. We spoke about them, these things, and we're following up on where the money is gone. Is it Lotto thing that they are baffling and annoying? Are you, as you rightly said, we Ghana is old for those things. Also, you mean Ghana is 60 and beyond, so we should not do it. Please, I request for your number. Okay, you will get my number, Farouk. NDC communicators always making unnecessary noise just to let Ghanaians know that MPP is also corrupt, as they did during their term of office. With Almighty Allah, they will not succeed. We need competent opposition party, not noisemakers. Ghana is working again under the good leadership of Nana Addo and Dr. Bawumia Sule in Sunyani Kotokrom. Assessment of Nana Addo's government in 1 year in office. Worst government ever since the Fourth Republic dispensation. Negative 100%, you say. And someone who made several noise in this country to protect the public purse ends up giving us 110 ministers. Is this how to protect public purse? Haha, God will judge this government. Abladi Efiekuma Zongo in Accra. And we don't want to see President Akufo-Addo and his government to extend this Gitmo to stay in Ghana again. Their continuous stay is hazardous to us, especially the poor people. Politicizing this issue is very bad. From Nana Albert Jogbaje in Akachi South, this, and it says from Emilia Nasawasi, so this administration saying that the trade minister did no wrong. What about this website thing I'm hearing of? In fact, this government is disappointing as well. The trade ministry's issue has been put before a parliamentary committee 5, and I'm told that their sitting will be made public. Please, Johnny, ask the MPP minister why they were voted for. They should do the right thing and stop telling us cock-a-bull stories. No wonder they became the government, and I'm not aware. I'm not aware, government. Ismail Horori Ali from Nima. Facts-finding committee set up by Honorable Speaker to look into the issue of alleged expatriate cash payment is a step in the right direction. But they should not waste the taxpayers' money to do shoddy work. They must execute their duty dispassionately without bias. Allah Jiwili P in the Fiekuma. And how neutral will the so-called special prosecutor be when the president has stated that the appointments, he appoints people who collaborates well with him? Are we not going to see Muntie 3 type of judgments? Asanko, Santa Maria is worried. And is it justifiable to jail someone for his inability to pay TV licenses while criminals who invade a court and disrupt its proceedings are not giving jail terms? Asanko is worried one more time. But I thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Let me give you final thoughts on this one. The ICU says the government has gotten 80%. In this first year. You would have the first word. Mo would have the final word. You don't want the first word. Well, you want the final word.
It doesn't matter. I mean, the ICU is one of several credible institutions in this country.
And they say the 20% that they didn't give you is because of some issues of corruption that came up and how you dealt with them.
The ICU, like I'm saying, is one of the credible institutions in this country, coupled with several well-meaning Ghanaians who fairly and rightly have assessed this government. We feel that we are on track. We still remain committed to our promises. We have a president who is modest, even in his use of things, for instance, vehicles and so on and so forth. And we as appointees have had to look up to him and copy his style. And I want to encourage all of us to look up to His Excellency the President and emulate the examples that he is setting. Right. And so I feel that we are on track. It is for the people of Ghana to assess us. Yes, it is a human institution. There always can be room for improvement. Okay. It is that knowledge and that feeling that will make us aspire to greater heights. Right. But compared to other governments, I can assure you that this is the only government, in fact, this is the government in the Fourth Republic, at least, that has achieved the most in the first year of their governments. You can check my own formal MPP administration between 2000 and 2001. and the NDC administration, President Atta Mills' NDC administration between 2008 and 2009, and President John Mahama's administration between 2012 and 2013. You can check. 2012, I'm talking about the first years of the government. Right. You can check. There has not been any government that has come close to achieving monumental policy changes that the New Patriotic Party has been able, under the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo, has been able to push. But we are not complacent. I am not. I believe that we can always do better. This year we should do better than we did in the past. Next year we should even do better than we have done. And so, yes, we are quite encouraged by such high marks being given by credible institutions like the ICU. But it doesn't mean that we should rest on our oars. We continue to make a plea to Ghanaians that we met a very, very, very deplorable situation in this country. And I can use my own ministry as an institution where even the nation's Wembley, Accra Sports Stadium, for 2 years running plus, there was not even lights at the stadium. Okay, that is the kind, I'm just using this to dramatize the kind of situation that was inherited. My ministry, we inherited a debt situation of over 50 million Ghana cedis. And the lights were not working and so on and so forth. And gradually we are moving this forward. In the light of what we inherited, we believe that we have done well for the first year.
And so you agree with ICU?
Well, I believe that the ICU is justified in his assessment. But
we need to go.
We should not be complacent. Right. We should only work to improve on what we have.
I like that bit. Yeah, Mo, you have the final word on this.
Yes,
ICU scores Nana Addo 80% and one special prosecutor named quickly.
The ICU, I would not waste time to speak to. No, I won't. In fact,
that's language.
But that's not. Hold on.
I'm saying,
Pius, allow him to have it.
Discussing the ICU is a waste of time.
No, I didn't say that. No,
I said you won't waste time.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Don't put words into my mouth.
No, I don't think that.
Please, Pius, don't put words into my mouth.
Pius,
I insist that I will not waste my time to comment on the 80% mark given to President Nana Addo by ICU. Right. I will not waste my time on that.
That is not a fair comment.
Oh, please, Pius, allow him to make his point. He's
what's the measure?
Bearer of his opinion.
What is the measure?
Oh, please go on.
You see, if we want to,
people who put us in,
please go on.
ICU didn't elect me. ICU didn't elect me. The executive of ICU didn't elect me.
No,
I'm saying that the executives of ICU, the executive of ICU,
he gave you a lot of respect.
I respected you when you were speaking.
Allow him to speak.
Yeah, but I will
I respected
you. You are not being fair.
You can be a spokesperson for ICU. I don't give a damn about it. I don't give a damn if you are the spokesperson for ICU. But I'm insisting. I am insisting that I will not waste my time to comment on the 80% mark given to President Nana and the MPP by ICU.
Why?
You see, if you want to know the real performance of this government, this is a media house. Just take your microphones and go to circle. Speak to the ordinary Ghanaians. Speak to the traders. Speak to teachers.
Look at this
distortion.
Yes. You are creating your own distortion.
Pius.
ICU has spoken. You
respect our viewers. Respect our viewers.
No, you have
respect our viewers.
You also respect
our viewers.
I am here to defend the ordinary Ghanaian. When the
respect our viewers. I can do better than what you are doing.
Parliament, I will defend them.
Oh, Pius, I'm saying that if we want to gauge the performance of this regime,
what kind of
let us speak to the ordinary Ghanaians, the traders, the teachers, and the nurses who are working on our streets.
But what are the
it doesn't take the executives
of
ICU to speak to the performance of this regime. Let me tell you. Look. After subjecting us to this level of insecurity with your local terrorists, after acts of corruption that has been reported, the Flagstaff House now becoming the clearing house for corruption.
Your points are well made.
What corruption? With all your 110 ministers and
Pius Enam Hajide is the Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports of the Republic of Ghana and is joined us here. Thank you very much. Pius. Pius, I'm thanking you.
You are the one saying
Pius,
you are the one saying that.
Pius, I'm thanking you.
But you are a member
Pius,
of parliament as well.
Pius,
You don't need to insult the ICU
Pius,
because the ICU.
Pius, thank you for coming. Pius, Mohammed, thank you for coming. And Mohammed Abdulaziz is the MP for Mion constituency. Pius Hajide is the Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports. We're grateful for your time. Sports is up next. They will go and drink coffee together when they leave here. Don't be fooled.
Normally he's a fine man.
Welcome back. So whilst the story on special prosecutors still is high on the bill, there has been a veteran Ghanaian speaking to the issue, and he's in the person of Joshua Atokwashi. And we'll hear him what his views are on who the special prosecutor should be, and is it going to help solve the issue of corruption amongst our public officials. Let's hear him.
As we mark 25 years of Ghana's fourth Republican democracy and also mark 1 year of the reign of President Akufo-Addo, one of the things that many of you are talking about is, the passage of the special prosecutors, which has been assented to by the president. How is that going to help in the fight against corruption? This morning on NewDay and also on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7, we've been joined by one man who has a totally different opinion when it comes to how we can make the office of the special prosecutor work. He's also a founding member of the United Party. My guest, Joshua Atokwashi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're very strong.
Well, by His grace.
By God's grace, I mean.
Yes.
And other things that you've been doing.
What else?
You should be telling me.
Well, I take care of myself.
Okay.
And I try to do my best by speaking the truth. Though I'm a human being, I cannot qualify myself as honest man, but God knows who is honest and who is dishonest. And we are living in a country or in a society where we need everyone to pull his resources together to build a nation.
Okay. Talking about pulling resources together to build a nation, what are your thoughts about the Special Prosecutors Act that's been assented to by the president?
I'm so happy that such things are brought back, because this is something which the president, father, Edward Akufo-Addo, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, Obechebi Lamte, Amolenu, and others, when they were in opposition, Dr. K. Busi and others, they accused Nkrumah's government of corruption. And with all the fault of Nkrumah we can accuse Nkrumah of, he has set up such a commission to go into the affairs of the country's administration. The most important was they pressed upon, including the Nana Akufo-Addo's father, that the commissioner should be from outside Ghana. If we want to play fairness, transparent. So they asked the Commonwealth Secretariat to provide them a commissioner.
Okay.
And they gave a commissioner from Nigeria by name Jibowu. I think either he was retired Chief Justice or some of the senior justice. And he had this commission of inquiry. And Nana's father, colleagues, Will Abi and Kwaswansi, were the people who faces the accusers in the commission.
Now, this, Jibowu, who came into Ghana at the time during the reign of Nkrumah, you were there at the time. What would be your assessment of his performance those days?
Whose assessment?
Your assessment of the performance of this special person that the Commonwealth Secretariat gave to Ghana to actually head that institution.
Jibo.
Yes, Jibo. What's your...
Jibo was really a strong, good personality who even summons Nkrumah as a prime minister at that time to appear before the commission. And even when he threw the questions to Nkrumah, and Nkrumah tried to hesitate a bit to answer, as a prime minister, Nkrumah said, as a prime minister twice, 3 times, Jibo said, we know you are prime minister, but answer the question.
Okay.
So if such thing will happen during Nkrumah's term, and Nkrumah himself appear before the commission, we must also fight for the same thing. Commonwealth is comprised of Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, Kenya, Zambia, Sierra Leone, Gambia, etc., etc.
Let me get to your point. What's the point you're making?
I'm making the point that if we really mean business, and if the MPP in power believe in fairness and justice, we must ask Commonwealth Secretariat to give us a commissioner to head this particular prosecutor they have.
Why do we need somebody from the Commonwealth Secretariat to head it?
Oh yes, because if you appointed a Ghanaian, it will be useless.
Why would it be useless if you appointed a Ghanaian?
Oh, we know. Many things are happening in the country. When a man can say, kill the guns, kill the LS, and he can go free. And someone can say,
he was taken to court.
The way you people are behaving, the justice must be careful. And that those people can put into prison. Where's the fairness and justice? Is fairness and justice there?
But, Mr. Tokoshi, when you make reference to Kennedy Japan, for instance, he was taken to court, he was freed by the court, but coming to,
Not on the question of...
Yes, but whatever it is, when he was taken to court, he was cleared of those charges. But let's get back to, the office of the special prosecutor.
Yes.
Why don't you trust a Ghanaian to head
it? If the old men, like Akufo-Addo father and Dr. Danko and others, could press for outsider to head such a commission in Nkrumah days, why can't we repeat the same thing in our days for fairness and justice, as his fathers and others quoted before Kwame Nkrumah government? Why? What prevents us if really we mean transparency?
Beyond Akufo-Addo's father and J.B. Danko arguing for this, what other point makes you believe that we need a non-Ghanaian to head it?
Oh, some time ago, even at the time they accused Nkrumah government and they want independent person or another person from Commonwealth, we have some good judges in the country. But due to the evidence we have been seeing in the Court of Justice, they feel independent or someone outside Ghana can control the commission effective.
Okay. Talking about the evidence we see in the courts of justice, in your own words, if that is anything to go by, how would a non-Ghanaian change the evidence that you see from the courts?
Well, that will be more effective in non-Ghanaian. That is what I believe.
They will resort to the same courts which you have which you've cast doubt over.
What I'm saying is this: a non-Ghanaian can control the commission effective than a Ghanaian.
Yes.
Because a Ghanaian, they will send their brother-in-law or mother-in-law or sister-in-law to go and see the commissioner. And the white can be turned to black. We all have been saying, it's not a new thing to you at your age. You know what goes on in the country.
Tell me what goes on in the country.
Well, A lot of things are taking place in the country.
What are those things that makes you believe that a non-Ghanaian, and I mean a Ghanaian can't do that job?
Do you think what happened in the country, why people invaded court and the judge was taken away from the court by security agencies? Can that happen in any other country as it happened in the Ghana, and the people will be free?
The courts are there. They've been fined, isn't it?
They've been fined?
Yes.
How could they have the money, know how they are going to fine? That means bribery and corruption is higher.
Well, Joshua Tokwashi, we're grateful that you joined us. But before you go, how old would you be this year?
Wow.
How old would you be this year, finally?
By His grace, if I be able to celebrate my birthday, you know.
You'll be 80 what?
Oh, no, more than that.
More than 80 years?
Oh, far.
90 years?
And above.
Thank you very much. Still going strong.
Yes.
All right, so that's all from us, this morning. We're from the residence of Joshua Tokwashi, who is a founding member of the about issues concerning the special prosecutor and other issues. My name is Winston Amwa. Thank you very much for joining us.
And from Joshua Tokwashi, issues of special prosecutor, let's now go to Esikuma Odobing Brakwa, the district, which has had its own set of challenges. Deplorable roads and unemployment issues are most critical in that part of Ghana. Take a look at this. We'll have a conversation right after that.
The district produces cocoa and other foodstuff. A poor road network is, however, a setback to development. Several hours are spent on the stretch. The only road linking Ebuakwa to other parts of the district is collapsing.
I want to entreat the current government, the DCA and the MP, that they should focus on the road. And I also plead to the road minister and Nana Addo that our plea is to come and help Esikuma Odobing Brakwa roads.
Efforts to get roads fixed have not been successful. District authorities say they are working hard at fixing roads, but we need support.
90% is about feeder roads. The reshaping normally done by the assembly and some to done by the regional feeder roads. So we are moving hand in hand with them.
Residents say economic activities have collapsed due to this. Several investors have refused to set up businesses in the district due to the poor road network.
These roads are very, very bad, especially those within our district. And so it is very difficult for us to get investors coming. Even during our festival, those who are convinced enough to come, when they come, they don't want to return again because of poor roads. We have the view that if the government is able to give us good roads, the rest should be left with us.
Residents of the district are appealing to government to come to their aid.
Residents are appealing to government, and everybody nearly likes to call on government. I got in the studio Eric Taylor. He's the development consultant for the district. Eric, good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You don't look happy. Why?
Yes, because I'm disturbed about the situation in my district.
How long has this pertained? Tell me about it.
It has been long over years. It's called Odobing Brakwa. During the PNDC time, had the regional minister from the town, late Colonel Bedu.
Right.
So during his time, we had the opportunity to get some road being constructed within the vicinity. Right after that, we didn't get any kind of development again until somewhere in 2007, where Honorable PC Apiofori, during the President J. Akufo time, came in to do some road construction within the three major towns in the district. That is Esikuma, Odobing, and Brakwa. Right after that, the connecting roads that lead to other districts, that enhances business. All these roads are not in good conditions.
And so, how does this affect the town folks? Because yes, that's an agricultural community, an agrarian community, cocoa and all of that. How does this affect you?
Yes, as I'm saying, Esikuma is in the middle of four neighboring districts: Akimoda, Asimfosu, Aguna Swedru, and Mankasim. So when you are passing through, let's say Akemoda to Kumasi or any other part of the country, you need to pass through Brema and Istukuma. Okay. But because of the deplorable roads, they are no more passing there.
So they dodge.
They dodge. And when you are coming from places like Obuasi and other places to Accra, it's possible you have to pass through Brema and Istukuma.
Okay.
So and all these things are not being done or it's not going through because of the deplorable nature of the roads.
And what does that deprive the community of? Tell me.
A lot of economic activities are not going on. You know, when you are traveling, there are rest stops on the road. People stop over, they buy things. This generates some kind of income for the people. In terms of agriculture, people have to travel and come down for farm products, where people travel to the north to Techiman and rest. These products we can find in the Sukuma Odobin Brakwa.
But then somebody would raise the argument that, look, you get a share of the common fund, you get your share of internally generated funds. Why aren't you using them for things if you think that they adversely affect you? Why?
Yeah, relatively to the deplorable state of our district, in order to generate an income, the common fund is determined based on your revenue.
Right.
And so if we are not getting any commercial or any economic activity going on or running smoothly in our district, how can we generate funds? So that based on that, we can get a good amount of common fund that can help us to develop.
I can imagine how this affects youth employment or unemployment, whichever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
How does this contribute to it?
Yes, youth employment, the only form of employment in my district is the traditional employment.
Which is what?
Which is the teaching, the nursing, which definitely they have to put a teacher there, they have to put a nurse there.
Okay.
But apart from that, we are not getting any kind of employment because investors are not coming.
Okay.
I remember some time back, I brought an investor from China. I stayed in China for some time. I brought some investor from China. But as you heard my chief, paramount chief saying that even when people are convinced to come to the district because of the bad roads, even when they are going back, they feel lazy to go back. So when they force their way out, it's very difficult to come back.
Pregnant women being rushed to hospitals,
Exactly.
What happens to them?
A lot of people are losing their lives because of the bad roads that we are having.
So what's the appeal?
The appeal is that...
They're watching you, all the big people, Minister for Roads.
The appeal is that...
The president watches TV3.
We want the president to come to our aid through the road minister. Because Honorable PC appeal for it is from this district. And he has contributed a lot to this country, and especially to MPP.
But in this budget, interestingly, it was not captured in this budget. This road project was not captured. So how do they squeeze anything for you? Do you still are optimistic that something could be squeezed?
Yes, I believe that if what I know, the little information that I have is that this road has been captured before for construction. And I believe that even on paper, it looks like it has been done.
Right.
But it's not done.
It's not been done.
Yeah, exactly. So
you have seen it on paper that the road is being done?
Yes, I have information that on paper, this road has been constructed, especially the one coming from Aguna Swedru, stretching through Esikuma Township to...
So who chopped the money?
Then we have to investigate.
I see. Thank you very much, Eric Taylor. Grateful. He's a development consultant for the Esikuma Odobin Brakwa district, and he's bemoaning the challenges that they have due to the bad nature of the roads, unemployment among the youth, and so many other issues. We'll take a break. We'll return shortly with some more New Day here on TV3. Welcome back. So this, you see on your screen, is happening around the West Trasacco Adenta area, and it looks like a project is going on. They're taking half of the street, so the residents, they are complaining. They're beginning to complain, and it's come to our attention as well, and we thought that we should bring it to the attention of the Adenta municipality that this is happening. If you granted license indeed for this to happen, it's a whole big mess in this age and day that the president says he wants the whole city to be clean. This is not what we want. So why have they cordoned off the place, and yet they have debris right on the street? And it's happening at the Ni Okpelo Soa or Damite Street. Ni Okpelo Soa or Damite Street. Anybody who lives around that area would know that this is it. This is not good. check it out. So we want to say a very big good morning to Ninoy Adumwa. You are the MC for the area. If you haven't seen it, usually that's what the officialdom says. Oh, it's not come to our attention. This is the first time. We thank you. We're bringing it to your attention. Ninoy Adumwa. Good morning to you. And please, this is West Trasacco. And perhaps if you are looking for the street name as well, this is it. Ni Okpelo Soa Odamite Street. Kindly fix it. ASAP. It's not, the people are complaining and they pay property rate and everything else. The road is not tarred, but that's not the conversation. The conversation is that you have people put debris. And see, there are black poly bags in there. So before you know, it just dries up and the poly bags will be all over the neighborhood. Who clears them? Who will pay for them? So Ninoy Adumwa, MC for Adenta Municipality, good morning to you. And we have brought this to your notice. Kindly do what is needful so that the people in West Trasacco Adenta Municipality can also heave a sigh of relief. And speaking of which, I'm told that around the Odoko, Dakuman area, the pavements and the medians have been dug. I'm told that they want to plant trees in there. But for over 6 or 8 months, the holes have been left like that. And the street lights are not working. So if you cross the road at night and you are not so familiar with the place, you may just step into the pit. And this is there. So Honorable Member of Parliament for the area, Accra Free, Obanwa, Ablekuma North, that is the constituency. Good morning to you. We have not heard from you since you became MP. We love you. So please, go out there and get some work done. There's the AMA office too close by the place. So one, the Ni Okpelo Soa Odamite Street in West Trasacco. There's baller gathering there. There are debris gathering there. People are complaining. Fix it. Ninoy Adumwa, you're the MC. And also around the Ablekuma North area, Obanwa, Ekwefriye, please fix it for us. Thank you. Good morning. Tomorrow we will check if something has happened. If nothing has happened, we will remind you one more time.
Well. So
because your other MCs are decongesting their cities. What are you doing? We want to know what you are doing. Good morning.
Certainly. Good morning to you. On that note, we'll wrap up. It's time for you to go to work and get something productive going on there. But thank you once again for joining us here on New Day from 6 to 9. We'll certainly will come same time tomorrow, hopefully, if God grants us the blessing to be here.
It's Jeremy. It's Jeremy.
No,
Jeremy is nice.
No. Jeremy must be danced with Jeremy, my father.
Jeremy, I want you to love me. Jeremy, baby.